I never imagined that one careless joke could unravel the life I had built with him. My name is Emily, I'm 32 and I've been married to Aaron for 6 years. For as long as I can remember, I thought our marriage was solid. Aaron was steady, dependable, and quiet in the best way. He never overreacted, he never made a fuss, and he always made me feel like I was the center of his world. Or at least that's what I believed. We had just returned from a small dinner with a few friends, and the atmosphere was light, filled with laughter and wine. Aaron was unusually quiet that evening, more reserved than his typical calm demeanor. I didn't think much of it, maybe he was tired or distracted. I was in a playful mood, leaning into the light-hearted teasing that I thought had always been a safe space between us. Then, in a moment I would regret for the rest of my life, I made the joke. It started innocently enough. We were chatting with some friends about crazy dares people had taken in relationships, and in a wave of misplaced humor, I laughed and said, "Honestly, I think I'd probably sleep with your best friend if I ever got bored." Just kidding, of course. The words left my mouth before I could even stop to think. The room went silent for a second, then there were scattered chuckles from the others, but Aaron didn't laugh. He just froze. I could feel the tension immediately, the shift in his expression that I hadn't noticed before. Something had snapped inside him in that moment, though I didn't understand it yet. I thought he would brush it off like he always did. Aaron had always been patient, forgiving, and seemingly unshakable. I nudged him playfully, smiling, trying to diffuse the tension. "Come on, don't look like that," I whispered, hoping he'd respond with a joke of his own. He didn't. Instead, he excused himself, grabbed a glass of water, and left the room. I laughed it off to our friends. "Oh, he's just in his feelings, no big deal," but deep down I could feel a knot forming in my stomach. The night ended awkwardly. We drove home in silence. I tried making small talk, light jokes, anything to draw him out, but Aaron only nodded or gave one-word answers. The air in the car was thick, tense, unspoken. By the time we arrived home, I realized this wasn't the typical fallout from a joke. He didn't storm off angrily, he didn't yell. He just quietly got out of the car and walked into the house without a word. I scoffed. "Really? Is this what we're doing?" I muttered under my breath, but he didn't respond. Not even a glance. The next morning, I assumed things would have calmed down. I poured my coffee, trying to ignore the gnawing anxiety in my chest, hoping we could pretend the joke never happened. Aaron came into the kitchen, his expression unreadable, and sat across from me. He didn't speak at first. I tried breaking the silence with a smile. "Good morning, sleepyhead." Finally, he looked at me and said calmly, but with an edge I had never heard before, "Emily, this isn't a joke to me." I froze. "What do you mean?" "It was just a joke," I stammered. He leaned back, his eyes steady, voice low. "It's not just the joke. It's the pattern. The disrespect. The way you think it's funny to humiliate me in front of people who are supposed to care about us. I've been patient for years, but I can't pretend it doesn't hurt anymore. I can't pretend I don't feel betrayed." I laughed nervously, thinking he was exaggerating. "Betrayed? Over a silly comment?" He shook his head. "It's not silly. It's a symptom. A symptom of how you treat me when you think I'm not watching. You've crossed lines repeatedly, and tonight was the last one." My heart raced. I didn't realize how deep the wound ran. I tried to argue, to rationalize, to make him see that I was joking, that I wasn't serious. But his calm demeanor made my arguments sound hollow. I wanted him to yell, to storm, to do anything but this silent, controlled detachment. Hours later, I checked my phone and found a message that made my stomach drop. It was from his lawyer. Aaron was filing for divorce. He called my joke proof that the marriage had irreparably broken down. My hands shook as I read the words over and over, unable to comprehend that a few careless sentences could have this much power. The days that followed were a blur. Aaron stopped answering my calls. Messages went unread. Friends tried to console me, but they didn't understand that this wasn't about anger. It was about silent, deliberate withdrawal. The realization hit me. I had treated our love as something permanent, something untouchable, without ever considering that the foundation was respect, not just affection. Scrolling through old photos of us, I saw the moments I had taken for granted. Dinners where he had smiled despite being tired, quiet support when I had drama at work, moments where he had been there without complaint. And now, in the wake of a joke that I thought would be harmless, all of it seemed fragile, as though I had finally broken something that had been delicate all along. I never imagined I would sit alone in my living room, replaying a joke over and over in my head, understanding only too late that the laughter I thought we shared had masked a deeper truth. Aaron's love was steady, but it wasn't unconditional tolerance for humiliation. And now, the joke that was meant to amuse had become the mirror showing me the cracks in myself and the life we had built together.